What's up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my new to me 2026 project car, which I'm going to go show you guys and do a test drive of. So let's go check it out. Alright guys, so here we have it. This is a 2007 Mark 5 Golf GTI, so the 5th generation of the Golf lineup. Alright, so I just acquired this car about 2 months ago. Alright, so I'm just going to show you guys a little bit on what we have here. Essentially, this is a bone stock car. It was something that I really wanted while looking for a particular unit, so I wanted it to be 100% stock with no or little to no modifications because I wanted to start from a clean state. Right, so from the front you guys can see everything, it's all essentially stock. I've did a little bit of changes to it. Of course the car came a little bit rough, so I've got new lens covers, I've got a new front grille as well as the bottom grills. Alright, so overall it makes the car look a little bit newer because prior to this it was very bad, faded out headlamps and cracked grills and stuff like that. Alright, to the side, nothing much. We got the stock wheels. These are the 18s, the Denvers or the Detroits they call it. Because in Malaysia, some came with the 17s, some came with the 18s. I got the 18s. Lucky enough, it also has a sunroof because this is an imported unit. Alright, it's not a local Malaysia unit. It's an imported unit, so it's got a sunroof as well as the blue tint. So this is actually a factory feature. It's not a window tint. It's actually a factory feature where they dip the glass into a chemical to create this sort of blue UV protection layer. Alright, we've got a carbon rear spoiler which I did not put on. The previous owner actually added it on, so just left it there for now. The rear is all stock, as you guys can see, even down to the exhaust tips. Alright, so yeah, like I said, clean state stock car, just how I like it, right? For the year, it's about a 20-year-old car. It's still pretty good. The paint is a little bit rough, but it's something that we have to get to, as a project car. Alright, next I'm just going to show you guys a little bit on the interior. Alright, so moving to the interior, as you guys can see, we have this very signature tartan fabric seats. Alright, so in Malaysia, the GTI came in 2 specs. One is the tartan fabric and one is a full leather. So for mine, I bought the car used, so I couldn't choose, but the tartan is actually something that I was looking for, right? Interior is all stock, including the head unit. As you guys can see, look how crusty this is. So this is actually a problem with these Mark 5 GTIs, but we're going to swap that out, down the line. And also, it is a DSG because in Malaysia, you can't get it in manual, so only the flappy pedals, alright? So a 6-speed DSG DQ 250. Essentially, interior, bone stock, alright? Under the hood, maybe just show you guys a little bit about under the hood, alright? So, okay, under the hood, we have a 2-litre TFSI Turbo EA113, 2-litre turbo producing about 200 horsepower and 280 Newton meters of torque, brand new. Right, so 20 years later, I'm not sure. It's probably lost a couple of horsepower, right? So the engine is stock as well. It's a little bit dirty, but at least it's stock. It's still got the stock engine cover with the integrated air filter, which is a little bit odd. But yeah, that's about it, right? So after this, we're going to go for a test drive. We're going to talk a little bit about the GTI and see what it feels like to drive 20 years later and whether it can still hold its own on modern day, with modern day cars. Alright, so I'll catch you guys in the car. Let's go. Alright, Mark 5 GTI. So we're gonna go take it for a quick test drive. I'm just gonna talk and drive, just share with you guys the experience and how does it feel while driving this car. Alright, so like I said, I've actually owned this car for a little over a month and I've been driving it quite a fair bit actually, about 1,000+ kilometers, and I've been actually enjoying this car. Alright, but right off the bat, the car feels small. It doesn't feel big, in today's world, most of the cars, even the hatchbacks, they are starting to grow a lot in size, and you can actually really feel the size while driving on the road. But this Mark 5, it just feels a little bit slightly bigger than my Honda Jazz, if not almost the same. Alright, but Yeah, so the response for this car, it's a DSG. All right, it is pretty responsive. The throttle response is pretty good. Gear shifts are okay. Gear shifts are okay because it is, after all, a first gen DSG. It's a DQ250 6-speed wet clutch, which have been in multiple cars. The Mark 6 GTI, the Mark 7 GTI, But I think the Mark 8s onwards, they are all 7-speed. Even the Mark 7.5, they all went to a 7-speed DSG. This is the 6-speed. Because like I said, in Malaysia, they actually don't sell the manuals. You can only get the DSG or the DSG. So that's about it, right? But initially, when looking for a car, I wanted to look for a DSG as well, because I just wanted to just try it out. I've never owned a car with a DSG before. So I would consider this my first dual clutch experience. Right, we feel a little bit of traffic because it is after the holidays, rush hours, and the rain is starting to come down. But it's okay, we're gonna get some clear roads in front, and we're gonna open it up a little bit more. But maybe before we start, I can talk a little bit about the interior first. So for a car at this age, it is a German car, it is 20-year-old after all. It actually feels pretty solid, right? The materials, the plastics, the leather, they still feel good, right? They still feel very high quality. You get a little bit of wear and tear, obviously, like the headliner is starting to sag a little bit. Some of the plastics, around the buttons are getting a little bit sticky, but it's not something too crazy, all right, compared with some other brands, from this age, all right. So yeah, I would say it's a pretty nice place to be in. The fabric seats actually help a lot as well, because like cars of this age, usually the leathers, the leather seats, if they're not taken care of well enough, they start to wrinkle, they start to crack, which is something that you do not really get with fabric interiors, right? So I'm quite lucky that I've got the tartan seats. Yeah, so it's either you like it or you hate it, but if you talk about the heritage and everything, so the Mark 1 GTI is where it all started, right? The tartan seats. So they brought it all the way up to the Mark 5. I think even the Mark 6 and Mark 7 had it, but only in the special editions. Right, so yeah, we got a bit of clear roads, let's just, we just leave it in D. Just give it some 50% throttle. You can hear the turbo spool up, a little bit of lag. Right, then we're already up to decent speeds. Right, so of course, yeah, compared to the newer cars, the Mark 7, the Mark 8, this does feel a little bit old school, because the turbo is just not as responsive compared to the newer cars. But then also, with that being said, it gives you a bit of that, I don't know if it makes sense, but that old school JDM turbo car feel, where you actually have to wait a little bit for the boost to kick in, then it starts going. Alright, so yeah. So it's still running a KO3 stock turbocharger. Alright, that I think is probably not the healthiest, because that day when I was driving it, there was a little bit of smoke. So yeah, it's okay. We can save that for the future. We can probably swap in a big turbo in the future. Right. Okay, so let's just pedal shift. We drop it to third gear, we floor it a little bit. Very responsive. I think for daily driven car, it's actually, I would say, enough. I wouldn't say more than enough, because modern day cars are, then again, I'm comparing again, right, with modern day cars, they are so powerful. Don't even get me started on the EVs. We just talk about the 1.5 litre turbo cars, 180 horsepower, 300 Newton meters of torque. This car back in the day was considered a hot hatch with 200 horsepower and 280 Newton meter of torque. This is considered a hot hatch back then, alright? So it did 0 to 100 at 6.9 seconds, if I'm not wrong. With the DSG, right? The manual was about 7.1. But back in the days, these are considered good numbers. Nowadays, even in Malaysia, we have a Proton, we have the Proton S70 and the Proton X50, the 1.5 4-cylinder turbo. That's making about 180 horsepower already. But it is different, it is an old car. So the driving experience you get is definitely different as well. Like for me, I feel like this Mark 5, you know, as much as it is an old car, it doesn't feel that old. It doesn't feel that old. When you drive it, you know, it's still fun. You know, it's fun. The power is nice. Even the shifts, you know, with this old 6-speed DSG, still shifts very nice. All right, so recently I did a full service, I would say a fluid change on the car. So I've got a new engine oil as well as a new DSG oil. So I'm using the red line DSG fluid, and oh my god, it's so much better compared to the first day when I picked up the car from the previous owner. It was a bit sluggish, right? The gearbox was a bit sluggish. It was short shifting. It was a little bit confused. So what we did was we flushed out the old fluid, we put in new fluid, and we reset the DSG, essentially resetting the TCU, right? So now it drives so much better, I tell you. It's a huge difference. The engine as well, put in fresh oil, the car drives so much better, right? Okay, let's just swap it over to manual mode. We're at 4th gear now, doing about 50 km/h. Drop it to 3rd gear. Okay, floor it, let's go. So you feel the lag all the way, then it comes in. 5th gear, that's already 100. Honestly, it's not crazy fast, but it feels good. It feels good. You get that nice, you know, you feel that boost slowly coming in, slowly pushing the car forward as you go through the gears. It feels good actually, to be honest, it feels good. And the DSG is still fast on upshifts. It's still fast. It's not slow by any means. Alright. Yeah, so, you know, coming from a Honda Jazz, a 1.5 litre NA with a CVT, to me, this is considered quite an upgrade, I would say, you know. So, you know, I always find myself driving alone at night, you know, when the roads are clear, I'm just going to drop a few gears and just floor it out. Maybe that's why I've been getting bad fuel economy, but it's okay, we'll save that for another day. Right, 6th gear, we drop it down to 5th, drop it down to 4th, okay, 3000 RPM, floor it. Nice. The brakes, on the other hand, not so great. I feel like this car is lacking a little bit in the braking department. You know, the pads are still thick, the rotors are still good, but maybe it's the fluid, you know, so we'll probably get that changed out first and we see how much of a difference it makes. But I think down the line, we probably might have to get some upgraded brakes. Yeah, so maybe we can talk a little bit on the common issues for this Mark 5 GTIs, because most of the people, when we talk about, in Malaysia at least, when we talk about the Golf GTIs, we talk about the Volkswagen cars, they will always relate it to unreliability, alright? Especially the Mark 5, Mark 6 generation. A lot of them will tell you, are you sure you want to go for a Mark 5, you want to go for a Mark 6? They are known to be very unreliable. So to me, I would say that is a yes and no answer, alright? In Malaysia at least, alright? So the Mark 6s in Malaysia are known to be quite unreliable, but I have also met some people, or some people that I know that have owned Mark 6s, told me that they are very reliable. So I think it depends on how you take care of the car, and also it depends on your luck. Alright, for the Mark 5, I've prior to this, I've never met anyone that owned the Mark 5, but I've spoken to a couple of people who knew some people that actually own Mark 5s. And I've read on the forums, you know, in the UK, in the US, and they said that this EA113 paired with a 6-speed DSG has been so far very bulletproof. Alright, but of course, with every car being reliable or bulletproof, there are things that you have to take note of. For instance, this EA113, alright, so this is the TFSI engine, alright, so different from the Mark 6 and also the Mark 7. That is the EA888, this is the 113. So things that you have to look out for is the timing belt, because this car is belt driven, so it has a timing belt on one side and it has a chain on the other side. But the most important thing is you have to look out for is the timing belt. Alright, so with the timing belt, you have to change the tensioner, you have to change the water pump. Alright, going to the top, we have the high pressure fuel pump. Alright, so these cars are all direct injection, as you guys already know. But if you guys didn't know, yes, they are direct injection, no port injection like the newer EA888s. Alright, so you have to really look out on the fuel pump cam follower, because if that wears out, then you're going to have a lot more problems. So, that is just a cheap preventative maintenance. All right, the PCV valve, that tends to leak. So I've replaced my PCV valve as well as the PCV hoses already. What else? If you're at it, why not just do a valve cover gasket? I did that. I did a valve cover gasket. I've got new PCV valves, new cam follower. What else? Oil filter, obviously, with your engine oil, your DSG filter, water pump, timing belt, your accessory belt. So these are the things that you should keep in mind. When you're getting an old car. It's a 20-year-old car. Yeah, my car's mileage is actually pretty low. I got it about 148,000 kilometers, which works out to, I think, 90,000 miles, correct me if I'm wrong. But, when I service the car, regardless whether the previous owner did it or not, I feel like it's something that I should do. Because it gives me a peace of mind. Because these cars, although they are fairly inexpensive to buy, but if anything goes wrong, you might end up spending quite a lot of money. Because don't forget, these cars brand new, they were not cheap. Alright, so in Malaysia, they costed 200,000 ringgit brand new. Right now, 20 years later, you can get one for about 25 to 30,000, which is about 10 to 15,000. No, which is about 10 to 15% of the brand new price. Alright, which is a really good deal for what you get. Alright, you get a 2-liter turbo, DSG, 4 doors, proper 4-seater car, and it still feels somewhat premium to me, at least. Alright, but yeah, keep in mind that if you're buying a European car or any old cars for that matter, you do have to have some cash on standby, to refresh, to fix, to replace whatever that goes wrong. So if you're ready for that, I think that you have a pleasant ownership. But if you are not the kind of guy, if you're not the kind of guy that's willing to deal with these problems, make some trips to the workshop, or actually spending cash, to do up the car, I feel that you are better off with a much newer car. All right. So that's just my take. I like these kind of cars. So that's why I went for a Mark 5 GTI. So funny story, maybe just a little bit off topic, but it's also, maybe just wanted to share with you guys, like when I was a lot younger, I would say like 15, 16 years ago, the Mark 5 GTI was launched in Malaysia. I think they launched it in 2007. So I went to the showroom, right, Volkswagen Malaysia, with my dad to check it out. So happened, there was a test drive unit there. I couldn't drive back then, I was still too young. So my dad test drove it. It was a red Mark 5. Came with the 17s, leather seats and everything. So, when I was in that car, it was something that, I don't know, I just liked it. I liked the way it looked. I liked the way it sounded, back then when you were a kid, just a little bit of exhaust notes, you'd be like, wow, it's so cool, with the DSG, with the fart, So back then I already knew what DSG was, I kept on explaining to my dad, this is what DSG is, you got 3 clutches, here, blah, 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 1 clutch for 3 gears and so on and so forth. So my dad drove it. He wasn't really that impressed. So eventually we didn't buy it, right? But I always remember that. In my head. So, then later on the Mark 6 came out, then the Mark 7. But I think the Mark 5 has always sort of stuck with me as one of the Golfs that I really like. Alright, so Mark 6 I'm not a huge fan of, to be honest. I like the Mark 7. I think they are very nice. They're nice to drive. They look good. My friend actually has one. 300 wheel horsepower, stage 2 one. Drives so nice. The Mark 8, I'm not really a fan, but it is, to be honest, starting to grow on me a little bit. Maybe one day if I get a chance to drive one, we can actually see how does it feel. But the Mark 5 has always been one of those cars that has always, I don't know, man, I just have a soft spot for Mark 5 GTIs. Maybe it's because it's a little bit round and cute, I guess. Yeah. What about you guys? What do you guys think about the Mark 5? You guys prefer the Mark 6, Mark 7, or maybe Mark 4, Mark 3? I don't know, up to you guys. Right. So, also one more thing, when driving these DSG cars, when you're in start-stop traffic, you don't have to shift it to N. Just leave in D, put your foot on the brake, you will automatically disengage the clutches. Alright, because if you're going from ND, you might actually wear out the clutch a little bit more because the mechatronics are actually working the gears. All right, so just leave it in neutral, just foot on the brake, just chill. This car has no auto hold or that kind of fancy stuff. This car only has, I think, cruise control. Honestly, I'm not sure if it even has cruise control. I'm not sure, but it's okay. I don't use that stuff anyway. It does have automatic headlamps and automatic wipers though, so that's a bonus. All right, that's a bonus. Dual zone climate control, no Bluetooth, no aux, no USB. You get a 6 CD changer in the trunk. Back then, that was proper stuff. Today's world, don't even give me a CD slot, man. I just want to use my Spotify, call it a day, you know, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, those kind of things. But yeah, I've got a new head unit on the way. Actually, it's in the back seat, you know, so we're going to have that installed in the next day or two. And, you know, hopefully just modernize the car a little bit more. And yeah, hopefully I hope to take it on long drives in the near future, you know, maybe to Thailand as usual. So future plans for the car is definitely not going to be stock. You know, as much as I like driving stock now, I like the way it looks stock, but you know, us car guys, you know, we have to do something about it. So let's see where we go with this. Obviously, we're going to get some wheels, suspension, brakes, exhaust. And that's just going to be the basics. Then we're going to move on to the performance department. I am actually thinking of going stage 3 with this car, which is swapping out the turbo for KO4, hybrid probably, you know, getting the downpipe intercooler and DSG as well as engine tune, ECU tune. But let's see how it goes. We just take it slow first. We just want to maintain the car, you know, replace whatever that needs replacing, get it up to tip-top condition. Then we can start thinking about the mods. Yeah, so I think we're gonna end the review here. We're gonna end the video here because traffic is building up. And maybe next time we can go for a proper back road, B road drive. Yeah, so you know, final words about the Mark 5 GTI. It may be biased, but I like it, I enjoy it, I like the way it looks, I like the way it drives, I like the way it feels. You guys may not like it, you guys may like it, but if you guys are in the market for one, make sure you look carefully. Try not to go for those that are too heavily modded because you might not know what you're getting yourself into. That's why, you know, I purposely went and looked for a bone stock unit. Alright, so I think it's better that we know what we are doing to the car to have that peace of mind. Alright, so if you guys are looking for one, you know, don't be too afraid. Just do more research. You know what you have to do, prices of parts. You know, look for a reputable workshop, and I think you should be okay. Alright, so yeah, I hope to catch you guys in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video of my Mark 5 GTI. And stay tuned for more to come, alright? If you guys enjoyed, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.